You have come seeking an explanation, not for a simple matter of design, but for a fracture in tradition. We remember the elegant weapons of the Jedi Order that was, their forms perfected over 1,000 generations. But after the fall of the Empire, the lightsabers that followed became unconventional. Luke Skywalker's own blade behaved in ways that defied established lore and the Jedi he trained. They would construct weapons from materials that would cause a High Republic master to recoil. We speak of sabers carved from bone, powered by volatile crystals, their very existence a departure from the doctrine that came before. The reason for this divergence is twofold, separated by two distinct timelines of lore. In the current canon, the strangeness is an expression of deep, personal symbolism. But in the older timeline, the universe we now call Legends, it was a matter of pure, desperate survival. In this record, we will examine precisely why Luke's own saber was a harbinger of this change, and how his students, in a galaxy recovering from the grip of tyranny, were forced to become artisans of necessity. Our examination must begin with the architect of this new era, Luke Skywalker himself. After the loss of his father's blade on Bespin, Luke was faced with a monumental task. He had to construct his own. This was not merely a rite of passage, it was an act of rebirth for the Jedi way. In the current canon, the saber's construction occurred in solitude on Tatooine, shortly before the events of Return of the Jedi. The design was not an act of pure invention, but one of reverent homage. Luke modeled the hilt after the third lightsaber of his late master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, simplifying its form to match his own understanding and the components he could acquire. Its iconic green blade has a practical, real-world origin. Early footage for the film showed a blue blade that was lost against the Tatooine sky, prompting a change for visual clarity. A simple filmmaking necessity that would echo into galactic lore with profound implications. But the true weirdness of Luke's lightsaber in canon is not its aesthetic. It is its behavior. Canon teaches that a Jedi does not merely build a lightsaber, they forge a covenant with its living heart, the kyber crystal. Through the Force, the weapon becomes a resonant extension of their will, their intent. A Jedi with a true connection to their crystal should feel as if the blade moves with them, not for them. This intimate bond, this deep, personal attunement, is the key to understanding the most infamous moment in the saber's history. That moment, of course, is the fateful night at Luke's Jedi temple on the planet Ossus. Haunted by visions of the encroaching darkness within his own blood, his nephew, Ben Solo, Luke Skywalker committed an act of profound failure. He entered Ben's quarters and reached into his sleeping mind, only to be met with a horrifying vision of the future, a vision of Ben as an engine of destruction, laying waste to everything Luke held dear. In that singular, terrifying instant, Luke's fear became his master. And his lightsaber, that perfect mirror of his intent, did not malfunction. It obeyed. It ignited. This was not a conscious choice. It was a devastating reflex, born of pure terror, a moment of weakness that Luke regretted the very instant it occurred. But it was too late. Ben Solo awoke to the sight of his master and uncle looming over him, blade ignited. In his mind, there was no other interpretation. This was an assassination. His own defense was reflexive, bringing the hut down around them and unleashing a torrent of dark side power that would shatter the new Jedi Order and seal his own tragic path. Luke's saber did not act weirdly because it was broken. It acted weirdly because, for a brief moment, Luke was broken. The weapon simply mirrored the conflict in his soul. This philosophy, that a lightsaber physically manifests its wielder's inner state, is echoed in what became of Ben's own weapon. In the chaotic aftermath of his fall, his rage and pain were so immense that he bled his own blue kyber crystal. The process fractured it. This damaged crystal could no longer be housed in a standard emitter, requiring the vented crossguard that would define Kylo Ren's infamous, unstable blade. The weapon became a physical scar, a monument to his own brokenness. But this philosophy, where the blade is a mirror to the soul, is but one path. To understand the true strangeness that permeated the next generation of Jedi weapons, we must turn our gaze to the timeline that was a universe we now call Star Wars Legends. Here, the weirdness was not born of symbolism, it was born of desperation. Before we proceed, we must acknowledge that we now enter the domain of Star Wars Legends. These are the chronicles of the original expanded universe, a timeline filled with stories now separate from current canon, a timeline where the laws of necessity forged a different kind of Jedi. After Endor, the galaxy was a ruin. The Empire's insatiable war machine had strip-mined known kyber deposits on worlds like Ilum. The Jedi Purge had systematically erased millennia of knowledge, including the intricate art of lightsaber construction. When Luke Skywalker began to raise a new Jedi Order, there was no pristine temple, no archive, no storeroom of perfect crystals and components. There was only what could be scavenged and what could be improvised. The most immediate crisis was the crystal shortage. With natural, meditation-attuned crystals all but extinct, apprentices turned to a flawed alternative: synthetic crystals. These were lab-grown substitutes, forced into existence by geological compressors that mimicked the intense pressures that form natural gems. They functioned, but they were often unstable and critically tended to produce red-hued blades, a color universally associated with the Sith. In Legends, it was said that Luke himself used a synthetic crystal to create his green saber, an act of necessity that his students would be forced to repeat. Without standardized parts, hilts became portraits of their creators' origins and ingenuity. Here, the designs became truly wild. Perhaps the most memorable example is Teneniel Djo, a warrior from the force-sensitive world of Dathomir. Her hilt was not forged from polished alloys, but carved from the very tooth of a rancor, a monument to her world's brutal warrior traditions. Her first attempt, however, was a lesson in the dangers of improvisation. Rushed and powered by an unstable lava crystal, the weapon malfunctioned and catastrophically exploded during a duel. Other students used what their environment provided. Some found that rare Karuska gems from Yavin 4 could mimic a kyber crystal's focusing properties, though their performance was unpredictable. Others salvaged components from derelict droids and forgotten starships, their weapons crude, unbalanced, and prone to failure. Each lightsaber was a testament to its builder's journey, a far cry from the serene masterpieces of the Old Republic. These chronicles of ingenuity and survival are but a glimpse into the archives. If you wish to continue this journey into the forgotten corners of the Jedi Order to ensure you do not miss the moment a new truth is revealed from the vaults, then bind yourself to this holocron. Subscribe and walk with us deeper into the lore. The Force remembers those who listen. So, why does this divergence matter? Because the weirdness of these lightsabers in both timelines reveals a fundamental truth about the Jedi of that era. In the current canon, the strangeness is deeply personal. It is symbolic. The weapon is a reflection, a diagnostic tool for the soul. Luke's saber igniting without his conscious command reveals a profound schism in his character at that moment. Kylo Ren's fractured, sputtering blade is not a design choice. It is a physical metaphor for a shattered spirit. The weapon is a mirror. In Legends, the strangeness is a reflection of the cosmos itself. It was an age of scarcity, chaos, and renewal. The Jedi were not a monolith backed by millennia of tradition. They were a scattered collective of individuals, learning from a single master who was himself still discovering the path. The fact that a Jedi would build a saber from a rancor tooth or a droid's photoreceptor was not an absurdity. It was proof that Luke's new Jedi Order was fundamentally different. It was less dogmatic, more individualistic, and defined by a gritty, unyielding resourcefulness. Each of those strange, imperfect lightsabers told the story of its builder's struggle and their unique place in a galaxy that had all but forgotten them. They weren't just weird. They were artifacts of a new beginning, forged in the ashes of the old. In the end, the lightsabers of Luke's era got weird for two powerful, divergent reasons. In canon, they became intimate reflections of their wielders' souls, behaving strangely because the Jedi who carried them were enduring extraordinary internal conflict. In Legends, they became symbols of ingenuity born from necessity, each bizarre design a testament to survival in a broken galaxy. Luke's own resourcefulness opened the door, but it was the state of the galaxy and the soul of the individual Jedi that gave birth to this explosion of unconventional design. And so, we present the question to you. Which philosophy resonates more deeply? The blade as a mirror to the inner self, or the blade as a testament to survival in a fractured galaxy? And what is the most unconventional lightsaber you have encountered in the Chronicles? Speak its name.